Hey guys, welcome back to Mindful Knits. I'm Solly, and today we're back again with another great beginner-friendly project, the Stockinette washcloth. Not only is it the perfect way to practice your knitting skills and learn the new pattern, but these washcloths are also very practical for everyday use around the house. Let's begin by taking a look at what is inside our beginner's kit. So inside our beginner's kit, we have 4 balls of cotton yarn, 1 circular knitting needle, and 1 plastic yarn needle to weave in your loose ends. So now all we need to do is pick a color and we can get started. For our project today, all you will need is your Mindfulknits soft cotton yarn. Today I will be using the Simply White shade, your 5mm circular knitting needles, and your yarn needle for weaving in, all of which can be found in your beginner's kit. And in addition to that, all you will need is just a pair of scissors. To start our project, we will be using the long tail cast on method to cast on 26 stitches. And if you require in-depth tutorial on the cast on method, you can refer back to our early videos. So here, I'll just be measuring out the desired length of the project roughly, and 3 times the desired length for the tail end, 3 and plus around 6 inches, just as an extra precaution. So we're going to go ahead and begin with a slip knot here. And make sure that tail end is in the front. We're going to go ahead and insert our knitting needle here, tighten that just a little bit. Make that diamond, make that V, under the first, over to the third, through the thumb loop, and tighten. So we're going to cast on 26 stitches. Okay, here we are almost at the end of our cast on step. I currently have 24 stitches cast on here, so we're going to do 2 more, 25 and 26. Okay, we're going to turn our work over and we are ready to get started with our pattern. So we're going to go ahead and tuck that tail end away. And we're going to go ahead and start framing our washcloth. So our washcloth today has a border pattern with garter stitches before we start our stockinette. So we're going to go ahead and knit 4 rows of just garter stitches. So garter stitches are comprised of just knitting every single stitch on every row. So we're going to go ahead and push through, wrap our needle yarn around, bring it to the front, and pull it off. So again, push through, yarn around, bring to the front, and slide it off. So let's go ahead and continue this until the end of the row, and I'll meet you guys then. Here we are at the end of our first row. I still have 2 more stitches left to knit, so push through. We're going to wrap the yarn around, bring it to the front and slide it off. Push through, yarn around, bring to the front, slide off. Okay, and we have completed our very first row. And our garter stitch continues on for 3 more rows, and you can always find the pattern in the description below. So here we are starting our second row here, continuing with the garter stitch. So we're going to go ahead and push through, yarn around, bring it to the front, slide it off, push through, yarn around, bring it to the front, and slide it off. So we're going to continue for a total of 4 garter stitch rows, and I will meet you guys at the end of the 4th row. Now here I am at the end of my 4th garter stitch row, and now we are going to start to form our border pattern for the sides, and we're going to begin our stockinette stitch. So stockinette consists of 2 stitches. So on one side, we are purely working our knit stitch like we have been doing. And on the other side, when we turn our work over, we will be working a purl stitch. So a purl stitch is essentially the inverse of a knit stitch, and I will show you guys in a moment. So we're going to begin with 3 knit stitches regardless of what side that we are working on, and that forms our garter stitch border for the duration of the project. So we are always going to start off with knitting 3 stitches, no matter what side we are on. And let's get started here. So we're going to go ahead and knit 1, 2, and 3. So our knit stitches for the border side is now complete. So now what we're going to do is continue the rest of our stitches with purl stitches until we have 3 stitches left at the end of the row to also work again our garter stitch for the border. So now to introduce the purl stitch, we're going to go ahead and bring our yarn forward to the front side of our right hand needle. All of our knit stitches are always worked from the yarn and behind, but now we're going to go ahead and bring it to the front. And with our knit stitches, we were inserting our right needle from front to back this way. But purl stitch, since it's essentially the inverse, we're going to be inserting it on that same loop, but back to front. So one more time, knit is this, purl is this. Back to front, we're going to hold this needle with our left hand. We're going to go ahead and take our working yarn and wrap it around the needle from right to left. We're going to push it back, and you see that stitch is on our right hand side needle, so we can slide off our left needle like so. So let's do it one more time. So the purl yarn is always in the front, back to front on that stitch, wrap yarn around from right to left, push this needle through, and slide off. A little bit quicker now. I'm going to go ahead and push, wrap around, push through, and slide off. So we're going to be working every single stitch until we have 3 stitches left in the row in the purl. So we're going to go ahead and wrap around, push through, wrap around, push through. And I will meet you guys at the end of the purl stitches. I have 4 stitches left to complete, so since we will be knitting 3 of the 4 stitches, I'm just going to go ahead and purl that last one. Back to front, right to left, push through, slide off. And now to transition from our purl stitch to our knit stitch, we're going to go ahead and take our working yarn, move it back to the back side of our right hand needle, and we're going to go ahead and knit the remaining 3 stitches. Okay, and now if we turn our work over, you will see that the stockinette has started to form in that last row. So as we have the puffy garter stitches on the bottom row, you'll see that that last row that we just knitted has a little bit of a flatter shape to it and looks like a vertical braiding. So now for our right side, so we can refer back to our work here. If the tail end is on our left side, we refer it to the right side facing. It's a little bit counterintuitive, but right refers to the correct side. So when we see this braiding in the front, that's our right side. And when we see no braiding, that'll be our wrong side. And wrong side that's when you know you should purl. Right side is when you should knit. So we're going to go ahead and do this knit side. So the right side is fairly simple. Since the stockinette is one side purl, one side knit, all of these stitches will be completed with a knit. And when we knit the first 3, it'll still come out in the garter stitch form because the previous side was also knitted. You will see that the garter stitch continues, but as we continue to knit and we're not changing our stitches here, you will see that the stockinette is starting to form because we purled those stitches on the wrong side. So we can go ahead and continue. It might take just a couple more rows for you to start to see the stockinette forming, but you will see that the braid shape continues here. So let's go ahead and continue until the end of our knit row, and I will meet you guys there. Okay, here we are at the end of our knit row, and I still have 4 more stitches left to complete. So since we are going to be creating the garter with 3 stitches, I'm still going to go ahead and knit this last one. And the garter continues even though the stitches that we are doing don't change. Okay, so fairly simple on the right side of our pattern. We're just going to be knitting every single stitch. And when we turn our work over on the wrong side, with our tail end is at the front, we're going to be knitting 3, purling the rest until the last 3. And that is so that we can carry on with our pattern. So we're just going to go ahead and I'll show you the transition to the purl side one more time. We're going to go ahead and knit. Remember, the first 3 and last 3 are always knit regardless of which side you're on. So we're going to go ahead and knit these 3. And now our purl stitches will begin. So again, remember to bring your yarn forward before you begin your stitches, and then back to front, right to left wrap, push through, and slide off. Okay, I'll show you a couple more just for reference. So we're going to go ahead and back to front, right to left, push through, slide off. Wrap, push, slide. Wrap, push, slide. So we're going to continue this pattern until our work reaches our desired length, or a square in this particular case. Okay, so here we are finishing up our purl row. This is our last purl stitch, and we're going to move it back to the front, and we're going to go ahead and knit the remaining stitches. Okay, and you should definitely start to see the stockinette forming here. You have your border here and you have your stockinette braids here. So we're going to go ahead and continue and build on our washcloth. So remember, if the tail is on your left hand side, you should be knitting all the stitches. And if your tail is on your right hand side, then you will be alternating between knit, purl, and knit to carry on the pattern for the washcloth. We're going to go ahead and continue in this manner until your stockinette braids start to form a square, or if you want it in a rectangular shape, that's completely up to you. I will meet you at the end of your stockinette print so we can finish off with our garter stitch border. So here we are at the end of our stockinette pattern, and my work has reached my desired length or square. And just to ensure that it is making a square pattern, I'm just going to go ahead and fold it over my work and make sure that the stockinette corner is also reaching the stockinette corner on the other opposite end. And now I'm going to go ahead and begin my garter stitch border pattern here. So while we were purling on the other side of your stockinette, now we're just going to go ahead and continue knit every single row for 4 rows and create that closing border. So we're going to go ahead and start our garter border now. So we're going to go ahead and create our garter stitch border now. So this is the wrong side, and whereas we would have began to purl after our 3 knit stitches, now we're just going to continue knitting every single stitch and continue that for 4 more rows. So we have our first knit stitch, second, and again, we would have regularly purled these stitches because it's the wrong side of our work, but now we are going to start our garter stitch border. So we are going to knit every single one. And I will meet you guys back at the final row. So we're going to continue this garter stitch for 3 more rows after this one, and I will meet you guys back at the end of that row. So now to begin our bind off, we're going to go ahead and start knitting the first 2 stitches. And if you require additional information on how to bind off your work, you can refer to our early videos and we will have a more in-depth instruction there. So now here, we're going to go ahead and knit the first 2. Take our left needle, pick up that first stitch, slide it off over the first one. Go ahead and knit one again, pick up that first one and slide it off. And we're going to continue in this manner until we have reached the end of the row. So here I am almost at the end of this row. We are continuing with our bind off. Knit one, pick up that stitch and slide it off. We're going to go ahead and knit the last one. Pick up this stitch, slide it over, and bind off that last one. And now we're going to go ahead and take our scissors and leaving this stitch on there, just cut enough of a tail end here. And we're going to go ahead and take our needle and just pull it off our work. And now we're going to go ahead and weave in this end. So now we're going to take our plastic needle here, thread it through, and we're going to start to weave in our ends. And if you have any questions or require a little bit of a further in-depth demonstration of how to weave in your ends, again, you can refer to one of our earlier videos. But essentially here, we are just mimicking and going over our current pre-existing stitches. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut off this tail end here. And do the same for that first tail. Okay, that'll be enough of weaving in for here. We're going to go ahead and take our scissors and cut off, make sure to not cut off the yarn that's connected to the rest of the work. And there you have it, a stockinette washcloth. They're soft, useful, and perfect for practicing your knitting skills. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And if you're eager to start knitting or crocheting a new pattern for a washcloth, be sure to check out our other videos on our page. And I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.